first I want to qualify, there are different components to expressive arts therapy. And one of them is a visual one, which, is commonly called art therapy, often involves drawing, and a lot of practitioners infuse this into their work. But I see things on a continuum, because one of the things I learned from working with trauma over all these decades is you have to get people to move, and you have to get them engaged in rhythm. So I really look at the whole dimension of expressive arts therapy as a continuum of movement-based practices, sound-based practices. That can be music and making sounds together, even using one's voice in certain ways, and prosody. Storytelling, which is a big area that can happen in a lot of ways. It can happen through a drawing, it can happen through enactment, it can happen through play activity, it can happen, and even movement can tell this narrative in some way. And then what I kind of loosely call silence, which is the regulatory practices. They might involve some kind of mindful expression where we're really in touch with our interoception, how we calm the body, but also just sometimes engaging in any one of those areas, and movement and sound and storytelling can be a way of regulating, and also, working with the therapist or working within a community or in a group. It's co-regulation. Again, there's that synchrony that brings on that regulation and those regulatory properties that calm and regulate the body.
And I think what we're interested in understanding is really what happens in the brain, mind, body when this happens, right? So as you shift sensory input, for example, by drawing and looking at something that you experience, but not being sure for sure, what you've just created on a piece of paper, or what happens when you're exposed to different kinds of music, music that may arouse you versus music that may calm you down more. And how does that affect key brain circuits that are involved in interoception, as Cathy talked about, which is really how we perceive our inner world, the signals we pick up from our body, which are so critical in helping us to know what we feel. And also, how can that shift the neural circuits that are critical to perceiving the external world? And when we think about our traumatized clients, they often feel the world will never be safe again. The world is a dangerous place. And so how can we shift the external environment and the internal environment to help traumatized individuals feel safe in their body, which I think is a key step to then also feeling safe in the external world and perceiving that external world.
And I think that also leads to the whole idea of how I look at it through these experiential methods, through movement, through rhythm, through sound making, through even listening to music, through making an image, through storytelling, through play and curiosity. How do we resensitize the body that has been traumatized, that's carrying around a lot of pain, so we can help people alleviate that, maybe help them alleviate the interoception of suffering, maybe help them feel more safe in their external environment and in their relationships. But what do we replace that with? And I think that's another piece here that I hope practitioners will start to pick up on and learn from, to introduce these methods based on the evidence that we're accumulating in the research that Ruth and others are doing. How do we help people resensitize themselves to feeling more empowered, to feeling more joy in their life, to feeling more pleasure, to feeling more playful and curious? Because, we can help alleviate symptoms, but what are they replaced with in the body? And I think that's the beauty of things that are interactive, that ask people to be action oriented, to ask them to be active participants in what's happening in those sessions.